Alright everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to Hard Knocks Giants Off-Season Episode 3. And I'll just get right into it. I think this episode was the worst one so far. Nothing happened. It was just a bunch of guys sitting in an office waiting for stuff to happen. They don't show you any of their plans that they had. They don't show you plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's just like they show you the guys that they got, and then it's just like built around the fact like they're just trying to show you that all those are the guys that we wanted basically all along. So, or at least that's how I felt about it. And you know, another thing too being is like it's just like I said, just guys sitting in rooms. Not really a whole lot going on, listening to horrible music. It's like when they're talking about Saquon going, they should have played Gone with the Wind or Dust in the Wind by Kansas. I mean, that's kind of the atmosphere that was going on. And it's just so melodramatic. Just like, shut up. No one cares. Like no one cares that Saquon left. Nobody cares. I do not care. Like Saquon isn't even like, I loved Saquon when he was here. I thought he was like the embodiment of a Giant, but now I just realized Saquon's just a good politician. He's not. He's like the player that we all thought he was, like the guy that he was. You know, like being a New Yorker. Like that was all freaking. That was all made up. That was all facade. That was all a sell for the Giants fan base and for the organization, and that's probably why he got drafted as high as he did. I mean, on top of his talent, but like just the kind of guy that he comes off as, it's no wonder, you know, why he was taken as high as he was. But now it's like looking at this in reality, and I think a lot of us have kind of seen this coming for a while, is that he's not a Giants first guy. He's a Saquon first guy, and that's fine. I'm not gonna hold any ill will towards you, man. Like going to the Eagles, I hope you suck, but I don't wish like injury or harm. But it's just like the amount that they're just milking this story is ridiculous. And the thing is, there's not even a whole lot to tell, and it's evident by the amount of information that's in this episode, and it's as simple as that. Another thing too, like Brian Burns stuff, like it looked like, for whatever reason, and they don't really explain why, is that the Giants are trying to make a splash, get Brian Burns, but it almost comes off in the episode as like Brian Burns is like a last option. Like if we don't get Brian Burns, then our whole offseason, like there's nobody left, and it maybe just the deal just took that long. Maybe the guys that they wanted over Brian Burns signed with other teams, and so they're kind of like going down their list, like, okay, well, scratch that dude off, scratch that guy off, scratch that guy off. Well, Burns is still available, we got to trade for him. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like this offseason really worked out the way that the Giants were hoping it would. And you can kind of see the energy, it just in general in the building. It just doesn't seem like it's like it seems like a lot of people are on edge, and the reason for that, kind of what I'm assuming, is like when you're watching the show, and it's cool to see, you know, guys in rooms talking sometimes depending on what they're talking about, but it was like as soon as John Mara walks in the room, it's like all the energy gets sucked out of it. It looks like everybody looks like they're walking on eggshells when John Mara walks in the room. And I understand you're in a high stress environment, like work environment like that, and then your boss walks in, like the owner of the whole team, and he's like subtly making like suggestion, like he's making it clear what he wants to happen. Like he wants to get Saquon back. And you know, it's a shame that this off-season version of Hard Knocks for the Giants wasn't last year, because I feel like last year would have been a lot better of a watch to see the you know, the initial negotiations for Saquon and how those fell through originally, and you know, if John Mara had any kind of influence on actually giving Daniel Jones a contract. And I'm not a Daniel Jones hater. Like I know it made sense to sign Daniel Jones. Like I realize that, and I don't think Daniel Jones is a horrible quarterback. But I wonder how much influence, if any, if that was a result of John Mara being involved. And to see him kind of being so like explicit in what he wants Joe Shane to do, and it's almost like a hint, nudge, nudge kind of action. And it's like, this is how you guys are acting when, you're on Hard Knocks, there are cameras in the building, the narrative built around, you being an influential member of like you're not just an owner, like you're basically the GM, like, and you might be intentionally trying to hide that. And so it's kind of dialed back to this point. So it's like, I don't know if this is it, like this is all that's happened, or how much stuff did you guys shoot? And since you have editorial control, you cut it out. I mean, so I guess we'll never know. But from what I saw, it just seems like John Mara has a heavy hand, maybe not intentionally, but he does. And even though Joe Shane did what he, thought was right for the team, you don't want to see your general manager, like, I mean, if he already has enough on his plate, you don't want to see another thing of like, oh, well, I can't make this move because it's going to make my boss mad. It's like, well, he hired you to do this job, do the job. But it just seems like John Mara might be, he might really have that influence on the team. And that's probably why you've seen us, like, we've gone through so many general managers and probably even more head coaches, over the last 10 years. And it's like the more things change, the more things stay the same. It's like usually like the new head coach has a good first year, things are positive, and then we crash and burn year 2, and then it's like okay, we're bringing a new guy. Oh, we had a good first year, and then I wonder, like I said, how much influence John Mara has, because it seems like we always have the same problems over and over and over again, no matter who's in charge of the Giants. It always stays the same. And so when that's the case, no matter how many people you bring in, you got to look at leadership, you got to look at ownership. It would have to be him. Like, he's the one that's making all these decisions. And so that's concerning, and but I mean, I'm glad to see Joe Shane made the decision, like I said, that he thought was right. But another thing about Joe Shane is, and like I was talking about, how they're, making plans for, they wanted to get at least 2 offensive linemen. And this has also been something that's happened with the Giants basically every offseason, no matter how many coaches we have, is we'll bring in new offensive line talent, but we always play them out of position. We never play them where they're supposed to play. And like, our best interior offensive lineman last year was Ben Bredesen. And what happened with him was, like, in the offseason, like, we had him playing basically every position on the offensive line. We never allowed him to settle at a position. And we did that with basically every player in the on the offensive line last offseason. And like, even though we have a new offensive line coach, it's like you're already seeing signs of players that are going to be rotated in and out, swapped positions. Like, you're bringing in a Luminor, a right tackle, you're moving him to left guard already, and you have a left guard in Runyon playing right guard, and you're still keeping Evan Neal at right tackle. But if we go into training camp and we start hearing reports that they're moving a Luminor from left to right guard to right tackle, back to left guard, maybe playing a few snaps at center, and like same thing with John Runyon, where he's playing he's switching from left to right guard, playing center, or even having guys like Azudu stepping in and taking reps in for as a swing tackle, and also taking reps at left guard. It's like you can't keep rotating these guys in and out like that. And I don't want to believe that's going to be the case this year, because we do have a new offensive line coach. But again, it's like, no matter how much things change, it always stay the same with the Giants. It's like, how many offensive line coaches have we had that it's like every time we get a new offensive line coach, it's like we're still seeing the same thing during training camps and during practices where, you know, players that should not be playing at certain positions are taking snaps and rotating. You know, centers are playing in as guards or maybe even as tackles. Like when you look at the best offensive lines in the NFL, it's like they all have one thing in common. It's because they were all playing together for a very long time. You don't have a lot of in and outs. You build a solid foundation. You build chemistry within the unit. When you're an interior offensive lineman, if the guys to your left and your right keep swapping in and out, it makes you think too much, and you got to take thinking out of football. You got to just be you just got to be instinctive. You just got to react, right? Not a whole lot of time for thinking. And when you're not able to anticipate your teammates' movements because you've played with 4 different left tackles within the last like 3 weeks, you don't have much time for reacting because you don't know what you have to do to help support the guys next to you. And that's one thing that I am worried about. We always make big deals about bringing in offensive linemen, whether it be through the draft or whether it be through free agency, and that the same thing always happens where, you know, we never allow players to settle. And that's one thing that I'm looking forward to us doing this training camp, if it happens at all. And I'm skeptical that it even will. So we just need to go to, we need to go to like, I mean, and obviously Andrew Thomas is our left tackle, but we need to go to like Illuminor. If Illuminor is playing left guard, let him play left guard. Don't move him to the right guard. Don't make him like left guard / right tackle. Like, tell him what position he's playing and let him play at that position. And if you need a player at another position, you don't pull him from left guard. You go get your swing tackle or your backup interior lineman. So you should have a backup interior lineman that's able to play all 3 interior positions, and then you need a swing tackle. You need to let your guys up front play their positions, know who they're going to be playing next to, and let them build chemistry, because this in and out BS that's been happening over the last few years, it can't continue. If we go into training camp, which starts, I believe, next week, or in like a couple days, something like that. If we go into training camp and if we get reports that they're swapping guys in and out, there's no consistency on the offensive line, throw in the towel for the season right now, because nothing's ever going to change. We're just, no matter how many weapons that we get, if we get Darren Wallers, if we get Kenny Galladay's, if we get Malik Neighbors, which I'm really excited for Malik Neighbors, no shade on Malik Neighbors, but the point is, if the quarterback doesn't have any time to throw, there is no point in having all the weapons in the world. Like, you have to, the football is won in the trenches. You need the most important positions in football, okay, is the quarterback, protecting the quarterback, the offensive line, and getting after the quarterback, the defensive line. And I mean, I'm excited that the moves that they made, like I said, you invested in Daniel Jones, you gave him his payday, great. You signed Andrew Thomas, great. Protect the quarterback, protect his blind side. You paid Dexter Lawrence, get after the quarterback, and then you just traded for Brian Burns. So, like, this is the formula to win football. And I just don't want to see it ruined. And I don't want the season to crumble because the good pieces that we have don't have the opportunity to not think, because they don't have the luxury to just play football. So, is there anything else I need to talk to you about this episode? Talked about John Mara, talked about Brian Burns, Saquon. Yeah, I mean, that's probably all that there really is to talk about, but I think there's only one episode left, and I think it's going to be, draft stuff. So I'll do a reaction to that, and I think I might even do a longer episode after this series ends and kind of just do like a whole recap of kind of my closing thoughts on the whole experience. So appreciate everybody watching the video, and hit the like button, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll catch you guys next week.